Hi and welcome to Fabric Bias. It is the end of May 2026 and I am working on a really simple project today. I am just making a king-size burrito pillowcase. So I already forgot the measurements I need to cut out, so I'm going to have to go look those up. But I just thought I'd show you the fabric. My son is coming home from college in a few days and I have this king-size pillow and I need to create the pillowcase for him. And I picked out, just temporary, if he doesn't like these I'll sew him a new one, but I picked up this fabric from what I have because he has these yellows and kind of a cross between oranges here in his room on some throw pillows that he picked out, and this fabric will match. Now what for the top of the pillowcase, the cuff, I've decided to use this fabric but not this side. I don't like this print. I'm going to use the inside of the fabric on the outside because I think it goes really nicely with this. And I just had this one little piece of scrap that I have, big scrap. I have a little bit of a problem. I do remember that the one dimension that I could find on the internet for the cuff was 11 inches, and I think I can barely get 8 inches out of the cuff, out of this fabric. So I'm going to have to make up for 3 inches in the body, 3 inches out of the cuff into the body, which is 1.5 inches when you fold it. And so I think it'll be fine. I think it'll look fine. It might look a little short, but my concern is because it's burrito. With the burrito, you roll it up inside and then you wrap around and you sew across it and then you pull it out, is whether or not it's going to be really tight in there to pull it out. But I think it'll work. I mean, I have that much space. I don't know. Well, that looks a little tight. So we'll see how it goes. Gonna try it anyways and get started. The other thing, this right here, to me looks like, it reminds me of computers, and my son is majoring in computer engineering, so I did like that too about this fabric as well. All right, so I'm gonna go figure out my measurements again because I didn't write them down, and go from there and get started on this. Everything has been pressed, so I probably will cut this piece out first, get that excess out of the way, and then figure out the length of this one, and with the extra 3 inches up, since I don't have them here, and go from there. That doesn't make sense. Actually, it's not going to be 3 inches because this cuff is folded in half. So that's going to be different because it's actually 1.5 inches because it's folded in half. Okay, I'm going to think that through. I will be back in a flash. Okay, so according to AI, what I need is 11 inches for the cuff, and I have 8, and then I need 37 inches for the main body. Now the cuff is folded in half, so that finished size at 11 would be 5.5. My finished size is going to be 4, so I'm 1.5 inches off. Now I don't like it when pillowcases are too short, and this is a pretty fat pillow. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches instead of just the 1.5 inches to that measurement. So instead of 37 inches out of my main body piece, I'm going to cut 39 to make up for the 1.5 inches here that I'm short for the cuff, and just to give it a little bit of extra flap because I would rather it too long than too short on that one. So 39 inches is going to be my length, and then 42 is the width. I actually haven't checked to see how wide this piece of fabric is. This one is, I think, 42.5. So I haven't cut that down at all because I'm going to see what this is here first, and I'm going to cut it to the shortest size. Either if this one is the shorter of the two, then the width will be that to make it even, whatever, you know, because this is not quite, oh, see, so this one's shorter. So I'll have to cut this down to this width on that. So I'll take care of that too in just a minute and go with that. So anyways, what did I say? 2 inches to 37, so 39. Might just make it an even 40. No, I'll do a 39 or 40. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It'll be okay either way. All right, I'll be back in a flash. Okay, so I switched mats. I had my smaller 18-inch mat on here. Now I have my 36-inch mat on here just to make it easier because I need a 40-inch cut. Now I have my fabric on reverse of what I would have preferred because now I have to cut this end over here, which is opposite of what I'm used to. I mean, I can walk around the table and try to figure that out. My mat is only 36 inches wide, and I need this to be 40 inches long, or sorry, 36 inches, yeah, wide, and I need it to be 40 inches. So what I did was I lined everything up nicely on the mat, and then I laid my ruler on it, and then I carefully pulled my fabric over to where it showed me 4 inches was on my ruler. So I essentially used my ruler to extend, and then, oh, I messed it up, I pushed on it. And then I lined up the edge of my ruler with the edge of my fabric, and I checked to make sure that I was lined up 4 inches here on my mat, which I messed up when I was shifting my camera around. So I'm going to go back through and do that again, but essentially I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. I need this 4-inch mark lined up on my 36-inch mark here, and the edge of my fabric lined up there, and I'll know it's straight. Plus I'm going to check that this is right here straight as well. So I'm going to go back and do that again, and then I'm going to cut it. And my fabric will be cut, and it's almost time to sew this thing. I am going to be doing French seams on this, so it will be a pretty easy sew. All right, back in a flash. Okay, so on the opposite side of the fabric, I've already cut it off here, but what I wanted to show you, because I was cutting opposite and kind of awkward leaning over the table, I do this anyway, but I'm cutting on this side. What I like to do is put something heavy on this side of the ruler, so that if I accidentally slip and try to push the ruler over because of the way I'm pushing it, the ruler's not going to go anywhere. So I have a little bit more solid positioning of the ruler here. So in this case, I just had this stack of origami paper. I got this whole stack for $1 in a garage sale this last weekend, I think, or the weekend before, I can't remember. This one, I went to a garage sale right before this one, and I paid $2 for this stack, which the receipt's actually still in here. So she bought it in 2013 and paid $7 for it on that. And then she made, I don't remember how many, but she made the crane, which I've always wanted to learn how to fold. But I don't know that I'll ever get to it, but I will. Hopefully, I have a chance now to fold the crane. And then I found this, and so I thought this would be something fun to do, not necessarily for me, but later. So anyway, I was using, already got my 25 cents worth out of this, just keeping my fabric steady. Okay, so maybe not 25 cents, but what I usually do is I usually have a drink of some sort. This one's almost empty, so it wouldn't work, and I just stick my drink right there, because I'm always having a drink with me, and I stick my drink there before. Normally I cut from this side, and yeah, so the drink would be on the other side, but since I was going opposite, I definitely wanted to put something stable here, because I know I wasn't, going to be awkward for me to cut that way. And I do also try to hold the ruler straight up and down rather than at an angle, because that, then you're pushing, not ruler, rotary cutter. But, things happen. So I find that if I put something in the way opposite of where I'm cutting on the end, well, you can't see it in camera, but on the end of the ruler, then as I do this, if I am pushing, then it's prevented from going anywhere if I put something heavy there, which this would not be this time because I drank too much of it. But, okay, so I'm all cut. So now I get to start sewing. This is like poof, it'll be done really fast. All right, back in a flash. Okay, so I have clipped right sides together, my two fabrics, remembering that I'm not using this as my right side, I'm using this as my right side. So I've got my right sides together with my cuff piece and my body piece here. And I haven't done a burrito pillow in a really long time, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing it the right way. So what I'm going to be doing is rolling this excess body part up teeny tiny small to fit in here. It doesn't have to be super neat because you're going to be wrenching it through. Then I'm going to roll this up, and then I'm going to pin this to this, or clip this to this here, making sure that none of this excess is going to be in my sewing line. So I'm going to clip this all the way across, and then I'll sew down this and then pull it out the end of the tube, which was what I'm concerned with because this is a little bit narrower than it should be. I did not cut the excess off here, so I'll line this up to make it right in a second. The excess of the cuff off yet, I'll do that at the end when I think everything looks good before I start building the pillow itself. into the pillowcase, sorry, the pillowcase itself the rest of the way. So like that, you know, I don't know, back in a flash. Okay, so I have the whole thing clipped together now. This end, I made sure everything is lined up nice, sorry, in camera, nice and even on that end. And then I clipped down in this direction. I'm also gonna sew from this direction and this way. And when I got down to this end though, and I did line everything up first, I didn't just start in the middle. You start on the end and go through, since I didn't know where my halfway mark was, but I am a little bit off on this side. And that is totally gonna be okay. Because remember, I have a lot of excess here. When I stop and backstitch, I'll be backstitching where this fabric ends and not where this fabric ends on that, because, you know, I'm gonna be cutting that off anyway, so I want my backstitching to be here. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes on that. So yeah, it's a pillowcase. It should be fine. So I'm gonna start here and go this way on the end, and then I'm gonna pull it through and see. Oh, cross my fingers. All right, back in a flash. Okay, so there it is sewn. Now all I have to do is reach in here and pull the inside, this side out, and then I can start building the shape of the pillow from here. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be back in a flash. All right, so here it is flipped right side out, and I think I'm going to top stitch here, but I have white on my machine. I pretty much sew everything in white, but I don't want to do that, and I don't have this kind of I'm not even sure what color to call it, goldish yellow, gold. So I looked at yellow and it doesn't look good on it. So I can show you. I don't know if it'll come up on camera, but I'll try to show you. There is the yellow. You can clearly see the yellow on there. Let's see, zoom in. Right there. There. Can't quite see what I'm filming. So I don't want to do that. So I tried this brown, and the brown actually disappears quite a bit in there. So this is the color I'm going to actually use to top stitch here, and I'll probably run a little bit of bobbin on this brand new, so I haven't even used it yet. So I'll probably run it on the bobbin and the top and go from there. So that's where I'm at. Oops, I'll have to put that back on. Hold on. And I'm going to go do that, top stitch this, and then I'm going to go ahead. At this point, what I have to do is sew. So you're sewing, because it's a French seam, I'm going to sew wrong sides together. And you'll notice I have this nice big yuck on this side here. And oh, here, by the way, if you want to see what the fabric is. I don't know when this fabric came out. I don't see a date on it. But not a big deal, because I'll use this as a guide to sew. And when I put the two together, and of course I'm going to trim this off. Oops, sorry, you can't see. Oh, I forgot I was zoomed in. Hold on. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and it's time to trim this off and get this even. But I will use this. This side doesn't have it. This side does. So I'll use this as a guide to do my first stitching, and then I'll trim short of that. I could even come slightly to the inside, because when I flip it and stitch it again, it'll cover it. But why? I think it'll fit just fine on my pillow with that width, so I'll just use that as a guide to stitch down this side, and that will take care of sewing that. And so I'm going to top stitch here and sew all of this here on the inside will get stitched down a little bit tighter, which is nice. I think that'll be a nice finish to it. I don't think you have to, but I think it'll be a nice finish to it. So top stitch that, then I'm going to come and wrong sides together with this after I cut that off, that excess right there. I will put this, clip it together, and I will stitch down here using that white line as a guide, probably coming as close to it as possible as I'm sewing. And same thing across the bottom, except I don't have a white line. Stitch that, trim this down to 1/8 of an inch left, flip it right sides out, sorry, wrong sides out. All right, let me do some of these steps and then I'll show you what I'm doing. Back in a flash. Okay, so top stitch and I think it came out really nice. Blends in really nicely. And then again, right side's out. I've stitched down the sides and across the bottom. I went a little shorter on the bottom because I didn't have this big white strip to worry about, so I figured why do a 1/2 inch on the side, on the bottom when you don't need to. And then I've trimmed it down. Now, there's a lot of white still showing here, but my seam is right here. The white wasn't the same width all the way down, or my stitching is just a little more crooked than I like to think. But it's really close to the edge here. And when I go, I have to press it still. When I go to press it and then go to this side, there's just that little bit of white here. And I'll be stitching a 1/4 inch away from the edge here in order to capture all of that raw edge inside my seam. So that won't show up at all on the outside. So, okay, so I'm going to go press it and stitch it, and it'll be done, and I'll show you what it looks like. Back in a flash. Ta-da! And there it is, all done. And here is the pillows it's supposed to match. I'm not sure how that'll come out on camera, but there you go. Put this like this. I think it came out okay. Not too bad. So I'll stuff it in the pillow and take a picture of it and add it to the video too, just so you can see it. But woohoo on it. So here are the edges if you want to see. I did not repress it. I pressed it when before I stitched it again, but I didn't repress it afterwards. It's just done. And what I do is, oh, I need to cut those threads off. But once I've sewn this side, then as I'm flipping it right side out, I'm just following along the seams and checking to make sure that I did catch everything on the inside, so there's no exposed raw edges along the seam as I go all the way through and across the bottom to make sure that it looks good. So it is done. It is really long, and it's ready to go. All right, so there it is. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time, and thanks for watching.